Hello, my wonderful listeners, and welcome back to English in Fluency. It is so good to have you here with me. My name is Alex, and this is your safe place to not only practice listening to English, but also to learn about things that can help you in your life. Today, we are going to talk about a very important topic. Something that almost every person in the world has experienced at some point. We're going to talk about overthinking and how to find peace in a busy mind. This isn't just a small topic. It's a big one. And it's a problem that can stop us from living a happy life. We're going to spend a lot of time on this today, so I'm really happy that you've joined me. This is going to be a very long, very detailed episode. So if you're driving, just stay safe and listen. If you're walking, just keep walking. If you're relaxing at home, maybe make a nice cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's begin. This is a deep dive, a real, honest look into this problem and how we can solve it together. You know, what is overthinking? In my last episode, I gave you a few ideas. I said it's like a mental traffic jam or a car stuck in the mud, with its wheels spinning and spinning but not moving anywhere. Today, I want to give you another idea. Imagine your mind is a big, beautiful house, with many rooms inside. When you are calm and happy, you have only a few lights on in the house. Maybe the lights in the kitchen, the living room, and your bedroom. It's a nice, calm, peaceful feeling. You know where you are, and you feel comfortable. Overthinking is when you suddenly turn on every single light in the house. Every room is bright. Every corner is lit up. You feel like you need to check every room, look at every light. And then you start worrying that the electricity bill will be too high. You are running around from room to room, looking at all the lights. But you are not just sitting and relaxing in one room. You can't get comfortable. Your mind is full of thoughts, but you can't seem to get anything done. It's when your mind gets stuck in a thought loop, like a song that plays over and over and over in your head. And this song is always about worry, doubt, or fear. We've all been there, haven't we? Maybe you're at a party and you say something to a friend, and a few hours later, you are still thinking about it. Oh, was that the right thing to say? Did they think I was rude? I should have said something else. I should have said it a different way. Or maybe you have a big plan for the weekend. You want to go to the park with your family, but you can't stop thinking about all the bad things that could happen. What if it rains? What if my friends cancel? What if I spend too much money at the cafe? What if the car breaks down? All of this thinking doesn't help. It just makes you tired. Overthinking is when you lose the peace of the present moment. Your mind is either living in the past or worrying about the future, and you lose the ability to just be here, right now. Today, we're going to use stories and examples to really understand this problem and to find the tools to fix it. We're going to talk about what overthinking is, why it happens, and then, most importantly, what to do about it. So, let's begin our journey. Let's start by looking a little more closely at what overthinking actually is. It's so important to understand that there is a big difference between healthy thinking and overthinking. Healthy thinking is about solving problems. It is focused and clear. For example, if you need to plan a trip to another city, you think about where to go, how to get there, and what to pack. You think about these things, you make a list, and then you take action. This is good thinking. It's a tool to help you get things done. Overthinking is different. Overthinking is when you are not solving a problem. You are just repeating a worry. It's like you are planning the trip, but you only think about all the bad things that could happen. What if the plane is late? What if I lose my luggage at the airport? What if I get lost in the city and can't find my hotel? What if the hotel is bad? Your mind is focused on fear, not on solutions. This kind of thinking can keep you stuck, afraid to even start the trip. There are two main types of overthinking, and they are both very common. The first is called rumination. This is when you overthink about the past. The word rumination is like when a cow chews its food again, thinking about something over and over and over. You replay a moment in your mind again and again, like a video that you keep watching. Maybe you made a small mistake at work last week. You keep replaying the moment of the mistake, thinking, I should have been more careful. My boss must think I am careless. What if I get fired because of that? This kind of thinking is very tiring because you are trying to change something that cannot be changed. The past is finished, but your mind is using all its energy trying to fix it. The second type is called worry. This is when you overthink about the future. You imagine all the bad things that could happen. What if I fail my exam next month? What if I don't get the new job I want? What if my friends don't like my new idea? Worry is like a big, dark cloud in your mind. It makes you feel scared, anxious, and stressed, even though nothing bad has actually happened yet. Your body feels the stress of the future now, even if that future is 3 weeks away. Both rumination and worry are like two sides of the same coin. They both keep you from living and feeling peace in the present moment. To really bring this to life, I want to tell you a long, detailed story about a woman named Elena. She is a baker, and her story is a perfect example of what it feels like to live in this mental traffic jam. Elena loved to bake. Her kitchen was her favorite place in the world. It always smelled of sugar, butter, and cinnamon, and the soft light from the window made the flour on her table look like snow. She was a very talented baker, and all her friends said her cakes were the most amazing they had ever tasted. "Elena," they would say, "your cakes are magic. You should open your own small bakery." One day, she saw a poster for a local baking competition. The winner would get a prize, and also a chance to open their own small bakery. This was Elena's biggest dream. It was a dream she had had for many years. She decided to join. But the moment she decided, her mind started to go into a full-blown mental traffic jam. It all started with rumination about the past. A few months ago, she had made a cake for her friend's birthday, and the cake didn't rise properly. The inside was a little hard. Her friend, a very kind woman named Maria, was very kind and said, "It's okay, Elena. It still tastes great." But Elena's mind couldn't let it go. Her mind would replay the moment she cut into the cake. She would see her friend's face, not smiling, but looking a little surprised. In her mind, this video of the mistake was always playing, over and over. She couldn't stop thinking, "I'm not good enough for this competition. I will make another mistake, a bigger mistake. My cakes are not perfect." Her mind was living in a past that was not real anymore. Then, her overthinking would jump to worry about the future. She would sit in her kitchen, looking at her beautiful baking tools, her whisk, her spoons, the big mixing bowl, and her mind would start to imagine all the worst things that could happen at the competition. What if the oven doesn't work? What if the judges don't like my recipe? What if I trip and fall and drop the cake on the floor in front of everyone? She would feel her heart beating faster and her stomach getting tight just thinking about it. She would feel a headache coming on, and her shoulders would get tense and heavy. All of this was happening now, 3 weeks before the competition. But her body was already responding as if a big, scary thing was happening in this very moment. She was so busy living in the past and worrying about the future that she couldn't enjoy the present. She couldn't sit and bake with a calm mind. She couldn't enjoy the smell of her kitchen. She was so tired from all the overthinking that she couldn't sleep at night. She was spending all her energy on things that weren't even real. She had a beautiful dream in front of her, full of possibilities. But she couldn't start because she was too busy living in her mind's bad movie. Elena's story shows us what a mental traffic jam is. All her thoughts were stuck. She had a great talent, but her overthinking stopped her from using it. She was so afraid of a past mistake and a future failure that she lost the peace of the present moment. She couldn't see that all she needed to do was bake one small, simple cake. Then another. Then another. Does any of this sound familiar to you? If so, please know that you are not alone. And there is a way to get out of this mental traffic jam. Elena's journey is a powerful reminder of how overthinking can take over our lives if we let it. But it also shows us that we have the power to take back control. Now that we know what overthinking is, let's explore why our minds get stuck in the first place. It's important to understand the reasons, because when you know why something is happening, you can learn how to fix it. Overthinking doesn't come from nowhere. It often comes from a few deep places inside us. This is a very common root of overthinking. We are afraid to make a mistake, and this fear can stop us from even trying. We want to do things perfectly. We think, if I just think about this one more time, I can make sure I don't make a mistake. But what happens is that we never take action. This is what stopped Elena from starting her baking. She was so afraid of making a new mistake that she couldn't even bake the first small cake. The fear of failure is like a big, heavy chain on your feet. You can't move forward because you are so afraid of falling down. To understand this, let's meet a new character, Leo, a painter. His story is a perfect example of how this fear can stop a person with great talent. Leo had a great talent for painting. He had beautiful paints and brushes and a big, clean, white canvas in his studio. All of his friends told him, "Leo, you should paint more. Your work is amazing." Leo loved this idea, but the moment he thought about it, the fear of failure started. He would think, what if I use the wrong color? What if the line is not straight? What if the painting is not beautiful? What if people don't like it? What if my first painting is a disaster and everyone sees it? He would stand in front of the blank canvas for hours, but he couldn't put the first brush stroke down. He would tell himself, I need to plan more. I need to be perfect before I can start. But the problem was, he was already good. His ideas were already beautiful. His fear of not being perfect was stopping him from ever sharing his beautiful art with the world. He was so busy trying to achieve something that doesn't exist, a perfect painting, that he couldn't take the simple, imperfect action of just putting one small line on the canvas. His brushes sat clean in their box, and his canvas stayed white for years. Many of us feel a strong need to control everything in our lives. We want to control the past and the future. We want to control what other people think of us. But we can't. Trying to control the uncontrollable is like trying to hold water in your hands. The more you try to squeeze it, the more it slips away. And the more you overthink, the more you try to control things that are not in your control, and the more you lose your peace. Let's meet a character named Maria, a gardener. Her story is a great metaphor for this. Maria had a beautiful garden. She loved her flowers, and her roses were the most beautiful in the whole town. But Maria was a big overthinker. She wanted to control everything in her garden. She would worry about the rain. Is it too much rain? Is it not enough? She would worry about the sun. Is it too hot for the flowers? Will they get burned? She would check her plants 10 times a day to make sure they were growing perfectly. If a small bug ate a small part of a leaf, she would worry for hours. The need for control was taking all the joy out of her garden. One day, her neighbor, an old man named Mr. Lee, was looking at her roses. Maria said, "I am so worried about them. I think it is too hot this week. They might die." Mr. Lee smiled. "Maria," he said, "a garden is a wonderful teacher. You cannot control the sun. You cannot control the rain. You can only give the flowers a good home and hope for the best. A perfect rose is a beautiful idea, but a real rose is beautiful too, even if it has a small hole in its leaf." Maria thought about this for a long time. She realized that her need for control was making her miss the real beauty of her garden. She learned that some things in life you can't control, and that's okay. Sometimes our minds overthink because they are trying to protect us from a past pain. It's like a small burn on your hand. You are so afraid of getting burned again that you stay away from the fire, even if the fire is not dangerous. Our minds are trying to help us, but they do it in a way that is not helpful. A memory of a past mistake causes a big new problem, making you afraid to try again. Think about a small mistake you made in the past. Perhaps a time you were in school and you said an answer in class that was wrong, and the other kids laughed. Now, every time you want to say something in a meeting, your mind replays that old video, and you stay quiet. Your mind is trying to protect you from feeling bad again, but it's stopping you from sharing a new, great idea. Let's look at this with the story of Tom, a man who couldn't speak in public. Tom was a very smart person who had many good ideas at his job. But he almost never spoke in meetings or in front of a group of people. The reason for this went back to his childhood, many years ago. In his school, he had to give a small speech. He was very nervous, and he made a mistake with his words, and a few kids laughed at him. It was a small thing, but for Tom, it was a very painful memory. From that day, a part of his mind started to overthink every time he wanted to speak in public. It would say, "Remember what happened last time? Don't say anything. They will think you're foolish. You will make a mistake." This overthinking, rooted in a past pain, had stopped him from sharing his valuable thoughts for years. He was letting a memory from yesterday stop him from doing something good today. Another common root of overthinking is simply having too much to do. When your to-do list is very long, your mind gets full of all the different tasks. You feel like you need to think about all of them at once. This can make you feel frozen, and you just keep thinking and thinking about everything, but you don't start anything. Let's meet Chloe, a project manager at a small company. Her story shows us how being overwhelmed can lead to overthinking. Chloe was a very good project manager. She was organized and she was smart. But her company was growing, and she had more and more projects on her plate. One Monday morning, she sat at her desk with a long list of things to do. She looked at the list. Email the client about the new website design. Make a new report for the boss. Call the team in China. Plan the meeting for Friday. Order new office supplies. She looked at the list, and her mind started to race. I have so much to do. Which one should I do first? What if I forget something important? What if I don't have enough time to finish all of this? I can't start the report until I talk to the team, but I can't call the team until I finish the client email. Her mind was a huge mess of tangled wires. She was thinking about everything at once, and it made her feel so tired that she couldn't start anything. She just sat there for an hour, thinking about all the work, but not doing any of it. Her feeling of being overwhelmed had turned into a big overthinking session. Sometimes, overthinking comes from a feeling that you are not good enough. You think, I am not smart enough, or I am not interesting enough, or I am not a good friend. These thoughts can make you overthink every single thing you do. You will think, if I say this, will they still like me? Is this work good enough? Do I really deserve to be here? Let's meet Jake, a student who struggles with low self-worth. Jake was a smart student, but he always felt like he was not as good as his classmates. When he had to write an essay, his mind would start to overthink. This essay is not good enough. His mind would say, my teacher will think I am not a good writer. The other students will write better essays than me. He would write a sentence, and then he would delete it. He would think about a word for 5 minutes, and then he would change it. He was so busy worrying about what other people would think that he couldn't write with a clear mind. He didn't trust himself. He didn't believe in his own ability. His overthinking was a symptom of his low self-worth. He was always looking for mistakes because he already believed he was a mistake. Understanding these roots is the first step to fixing the problem. When you know why something is happening, you can learn how to fix it. When you know where the overthinking comes from, you can start to pull out the roots, one by one. You can start to say to yourself, this is my fear of failure talking. Or, this is my need for control. Just by naming it, you take away some of its power. The most important part of our talk today is this. How do we get out of this overthinking loop? We don't try to get rid of all our thoughts. That's impossible. We learn to manage them. We learn to take back control. Here are 10 simple, powerful tools that you can use every day. I'm going to share a new story for each tool, and these stories will show us how to use these tools in real life. I'll also give you a small, simple practice for each tool. Overthinking is a problem of the past and the future, so the solution is to come back to the present moment. This is called mindfulness. It's not a difficult idea. You are already in the present moment. Mindfulness is just about paying attention to it. It's like you are in a dark room, and overthinking is making you afraid. Mindfulness is like turning on a light. The fear doesn't go away, but now you can see that there is nothing to be afraid of. You can use your five senses to do this. This is a very powerful tool, and I want to share a story about a person who used it to find peace in a very busy, noisy world. Ben was a busy office worker who took the train to work every day. His commute was a time of intense overthinking. He would sit on the train, and his mind would be full of worries about his work, his boss, his plans for the future. The train was full of people, but he felt completely alone in his mental traffic jam. He was so busy worrying that he would miss his stop sometimes. He felt tired all the time. He knew that his overthinking was stealing all the simple, beautiful moments of his life. One day, he was feeling very stressed, and he remembered hearing about a mindfulness technique. He decided to try it. He was on the train, and he felt his mind starting to race. He took a deep breath. He started to use his senses to come back to the present moment. He quietly named 5 things he could see from the train window: a green tree, a red car, a tall building, a smiling child, and a blue sky. Then, 4 things he could feel: the warm sun on his face, his coat on his skin, his feet on the floor of the train, and the feeling of the train moving. Then, 3 things he could hear: the sound of the train, a baby crying, and the soft music from his headphones. After that, 2 things he could smell: the smell of coffee from a woman next to him and the fresh air coming from the window. And finally, 1 thing he could taste: the taste of the coffee he had in the morning. For those few minutes, Ben was not thinking about his work project. He was not thinking about his friends or his plans. He was just thinking about the present moment. When he got off the train, he felt a small feeling of peace that he had not felt in a long time. He realized that overthinking had been stealing all the simple, beautiful moments of his life. He decided to practice this every day, and slowly, his mental traffic jam started to become smaller. He learned that peace is not something you find in the future. It is something you find in the present moment. The second powerful tool is to write down your thoughts. When your mind is full of worries or ideas, it can feel like a big mess. It's like a box full of tangled wires. But when you write everything down, it helps you clear your mind. This is often called a mind dump. It's a simple, fast way to get all the thoughts out of your head and onto paper. You don't need to write in a perfect way. You don't need to use good grammar or spell all the words correctly. You just need to write everything that is in your head, exactly as it comes. The worry about your work, the idea for a new hobby, the fear about a test. Write it all down. When you see your worries on paper, you can see that they are not as big and scary as they feel in your head. It's like you are cleaning a room in your mind. The paper is the dustbin. Let's meet a character named Anna, a writer with writer's block. Her story will show us how to use this tool. Anna was a writer, and she was trying to write a new book. But she had a problem. She had what writers call writer's block. Her mind was so full of overthinking that she couldn't write a single word. She would think, "This is not a good idea for a book. I am not a good writer. People will hate this book. Her mind was a mess of doubts and fears. She couldn't write. One day, a friend told her about a mind dump. She said, "Anna, don't try to write your book. Just take a notebook and write everything in your head. The good, the bad, the silly. Just write it all down." Anna decided to try it. She took a notebook and wrote for 10 minutes without stopping. She wrote about her fears, her to-do list for the week, the beautiful bird she saw outside her window, and the idea for a new recipe. She wrote everything. When she was finished, she looked at the page. It was full of messy writing, but her mind felt clean. She felt like she had taken all the bad thoughts out of her head and put them on paper. After the mind dump, she went back to her computer. She still didn't have an idea for her book, but she had a clear mind. She started to write a new sentence, and then another. The mind dump had helped her to clean the room in her mind so that she could start to create again. The third powerful tool is to take action, even if it's a very small step. When we overthink, we often get stuck. We think and think, but we never do anything. The key is to start moving, even with a very small step. This is because done is better than perfect. A small, imperfect action is much better than a perfect thought. It breaks the cycle of overthinking and builds your confidence. Overthinking tells you that you must do everything perfectly before you even start. But the secret is to start small. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Overthinking wants you to plan the whole 1,000 miles before you even take the first step. This is why we get stuck. But when you take one small, imperfect step, you change the story. You are no longer someone who is thinking. You are someone who is doing. Let's go back to our friend Elena, the baker. We saw how her overthinking stopped her from even practicing for the competition. Let's see how she used this tool to help herself. Elena had a dream of opening a bakery, but her overthinking had stopped her. She was so worried about making a perfect cake for the competition that she couldn't bake anything. She was sad, and her kitchen felt empty. One day, she remembered the idea of a small, imperfect action. She said to herself, "I am not going to bake a competition cake. I am just going to bake one small cupcake. Not for anyone, just for me. It doesn't have to be perfect." She went to her kitchen and baked one cupcake. She put too much sugar in it. The top was a little bit burnt. It was not perfect at all. But when she ate it, she felt a little bit of happiness. The small, imperfect action of baking one cupcake had broken her overthinking cycle. It was not the perfect cupcake, but it was a cupcake that was done. It was real. She realized that a dream does not need to be perfect to start. It just needs to start. The next day, she made another small action. She baked a small loaf of bread. It was not perfect, but it was a step. And that step was the key that unlocked her dream. This is a very powerful mental trick. When a negative thought comes into your mind, you don't fight it. You don't say, "I am a bad person for having this thought." You just change the thought. You reframe it. A reframe is a new way to see the same thing. You take a negative thought and you turn it into a positive or a neutral thought. This is a way to change the song that is playing in your mind. You are not trying to be a perfect singer. You are just changing the song to a more positive one. This is a very important tool for overthinking because overthinking is often just a long list of negative thoughts. By reframing them, you can stop the overthinking. Let's meet a character named Sarah, a student with a lot of doubts. Her story will show us how to use this tool. Sarah was a university student who was preparing for a very difficult exam. She was a good student, but she was a big overthinker. Her mind was full of negative thoughts. This exam is too hard. Her mind would say, I am not smart enough to pass it. I am going to fail. These thoughts made her feel tired and afraid. She would study, but her mind would be so busy with these thoughts that she couldn't focus. She felt like her mind was her enemy. One day, her teacher told her about a mental technique called reframing. She told Sarah to take a piece of paper and write down her old, negative thoughts. Then, she looked at each thought and wrote a new one, a reframed one. For this exam is too hard, she wrote. This exam is a challenge, and I am a person who likes to learn difficult things. For I am going to fail. She wrote, I am doing my best to prepare, and that is what matters most. For I am not smart enough. She wrote, I am a student who is learning something new. I will try my best to understand it. And every mistake is a chance to learn. She put this paper on her wall, and every morning she would read the new, reframed thoughts. At first, it felt strange. She didn't believe the new thoughts. But slowly, they started to feel more real. The old, negative thoughts started to get quiet. She felt more confident. She studied with a new energy. She did not pass the exam perfectly, but she passed it. She learned that the story she told herself in her mind was more important than the test itself. The reframe technique had helped her to change her story and change her life. This might sound strange, but it is a very useful tool. When a worry comes into your mind, you don't think about it right away. Instead, you say to yourself, I will think about this later. And then, you give yourself a specific time in the day for your worries. For example, you can say, every day from 7 p.m. to 7:15 p.m., I will worry. When a worry comes at 3 p.m., you can say to it, okay, worry. I will think about you at 7 o'clock. This is a way to train your mind. It's like you're telling your mind, worrying is a job, and it has a specific time. You cannot do this job whenever you want. By doing this, you put a stop sign in front of the worry. And when it is your worry time, you can think about all your worries from the day. You might find that by the time 7 p.m. comes, the worries don't feel so important anymore. They have lost their power. This tool is very good for overthinking about the future. Let's meet a character named Michael, a busy father. His story will show us how to use this tool to take back control of his day. Michael was a father of 2 children. He loved them very much, but he was a big overthinker. He would worry about his work all day. And when he came home, he would still be worrying. He would be at dinner, but he would be thinking about a project at work. He would be playing with his children, but his mind would be worried about a meeting the next day. This made him tired, and he was not as happy as he wanted to be. He knew his overthinking was stealing his time with his family, and he felt bad about it. One evening, he decided to try the worry window tool. He told himself that his worry window would be every night, from 9 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. after the children were in bed. When a worry came to his mind during the day, he would simply say, "I will think about this at 9 p.m." The first day, it was hard. He had to tell the worries to wait many times, but he kept doing it. He was firm with his mind. When 9 p.m. came, he would sit with a cup of tea and a notebook and let himself worry. But something interesting happened. The worries that had felt so big during the day now felt smaller. Some of them felt so small that he didn't even write them down. After a few weeks of this practice, Michael found that his mind was much quieter during the day. He was more present with his children. He could listen to them play, and he could smile and laugh with them. He still had worries, but they were not taking over his life. He learned that he didn't need to get rid of his worries completely. He just needed to control when they could visit his mind. His worry window had given him back the peace of his days and the joy of his family. Overthinking is a problem of the mind, but it also has a big impact on your body. When you overthink, your body feels stress. It gets ready to fight or run away, even if there is nothing to fight or run from. So, one powerful tool to help your mind is to help your body. This can be as simple as taking a walk, doing some stretching, or just breathing deeply. When you move your body, you can release the stress that overthinking puts in your muscles. Let's meet a character named Lisa, who learned to help her mind by helping her body. Lisa was a graphic designer who worked at a computer all day. She loved her job, but she was a big overthinker. She would sit at her desk all day, and her mind would be full of worries about her designs. Is this a good color? Is this a good font? What will the client think? All of this overthinking would make her shoulders and neck feel very tight and tense. She would have headaches, and she felt a kind of tiredness that even sleep couldn't fix. One day, she was feeling very tired and stressed, and she couldn't work anymore. She felt like her mind was going to break. She remembered hearing on a podcast, "When your mind is stuck, move your body." She decided to try it. She stood up from her desk and did a simple stretch. She put her arms up high, and she bent her body from side to side. She bent down to touch her toes. She moved her head from left to right, slowly. She took deep breaths as she moved. She was not trying to solve her problems. She was just giving her mind and body a break. After 10 minutes, she went back to her desk. She didn't have a solution to her design problems, but she felt much, much better. The tension in her shoulders was gone. The headache was gone. Her mind was quiet. She sat down at her desk, and she had a new idea for her design. She learned that her mind was not a machine that could work all day without a break. It needed help from her body. From that day on, she made a rule for herself. If she felt overthinking start, she would get up and do a quick stretch. She learned that a clear mind is not something you think about. It is something you can move toward. This is a very logical tool to fight emotional overthinking. Overthinking often makes us think of a very bad future, but our minds make it much bigger and scarier than it really is. This tool helps us to look at the worst thing that could happen and see that it is not as bad as we think. It's like turning a big, scary monster into a small little cat. You can play this game in your mind. When you have a big worry, you ask yourself 3 questions. What is the worst thing that could happen? How would I deal with that? What is the most likely thing that will happen? This game takes the power away from the worry. It helps you to see that you are strong and that you can deal with problems if they happen. Let's meet a character named David, who was worried about a job interview. David was preparing for a very important job interview. He wanted this job very much, and he was a big overthinker. He couldn't stop worrying. What if I forget all the answers? What if I say something wrong? What if they don't like me? These worries were making him feel very nervous and sick. He decided to try the worst-case scenario game. He sat down and asked himself the 3 questions. What is the worst thing that could happen? He thought about it. The worst thing is that I don't get the job. How would I deal with that? He thought, well, I would be sad for a day, but I still have my old job. I would learn from the experience, and I would look for a new job. It would not be the end of the world. What is the most likely thing that will happen? He thought. The most likely thing is that I will do my best. I will be nervous, but I will answer the questions, and the people will be kind. I might get the job, or I might not, but I will be okay. This simple game helped David to feel much, much better. He went to the interview, and he was still a little nervous, but he was not afraid. He did his best, and he felt a sense of peace, because he knew that no matter what happened, he would be okay. When we overthink, we are often trapped in our own mind, looking at a problem from only one side. It's like you are standing too close to a big painting, and you can only see one color. A very powerful tool is to ask for help from a trusted friend, family member, or mentor. When you talk to someone you trust, they can help you step back and see the whole painting. They can give you a different perspective, a new way to look at the problem. Let's meet Jasmine, a young woman who was overthinking a big decision. Jasmine had a job, and she liked it, but she was offered a new job in a different city. This was a big decision for her. She couldn't stop overthinking it. What if the new city is lonely? What if the new job is harder than I think? What if I miss my old friends? What if I make a mistake by leaving? Her mind was full of 1,000 questions, and she was so afraid of making the wrong choice that she couldn't make any choice at all. One evening, she called her older sister, Mia, and told her everything. She talked for a long time about all her worries. When she was finished, Mia was quiet for a moment. "Jasmine," she said, "it sounds like you are only thinking about the bad things that could happen. What about the good things?" Mia helped Jasmine see the painting from a new point. Mia said, "What if the new city is full of new, interesting people you can meet? What if the new job is a chance for you to grow and learn new things? What if you can visit your old friends on the weekends?" Jasmine had not thought about this. She was so busy thinking about the fear that she had not thought about the hope. Her sister's different perspective helped her to see the whole picture. She still had to make a choice, but now she was making it with a clear mind, not with a mind full of fear. Overthinking can often happen with small tasks. When you have a small task, like sending an email or washing one dish, your mind can start to think about it for a long time. "Oh, I need to send that email. What should I say? I'll do it later." And then you forget about it, and you feel bad. A very simple and powerful tool is called the 2-minute rule. The rule is simple. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to do it right now. Don't think about it. Just do it. Let's meet Kevin, a man who used this rule to make his life much better. Kevin was a very smart person, but he was a big overthinker. His house was often a mess because he would overthink small tasks. I need to put away these 3 dishes, his mind would say. But I also need to put away the cups and the spoons, and I also need to clean the table. His mind would think about all the work, and he would feel tired, and he would do nothing. The 3 dishes would stay on the table. One day, he heard about the 2-minute rule. He decided to try it. He looked at the 3 dishes on his table. This will take less than 2 minutes, he said. He walked to the kitchen and washed the dishes. It took him 1 minute. When he came back, he felt a little bit of happiness. The room was a little cleaner, and he had done something. He saw a book on the floor. That will take less than 2 minutes, he thought. He picked it up and put it on the shelf. Slowly, by taking these small 2-minute actions, he started to make his life better. He realized that the overthinking about these small things was more tiring than doing the things themselves. Sometimes, our overthinking is not about our own life, but about the lives of other people. We overthink about a friend's problem, or a work problem, or a family problem. We try to help everyone, and we say yes to everything. This can make our mind very, very full. A powerful tool to stop this is to learn to set boundaries. A boundary is a line you draw for yourself that says, "This is my work, and this is not my work." It is a way to protect your mental energy. Let's meet Sophie, a young woman who was always saying yes. Sophie was a kind person, and everyone at her job loved her. When a coworker had a problem, they would come to Sophie. "Sophie, can you help me with this report? I have a big deadline." Sophie would say, "Yes." "Sophie, can you talk to the client for me? I am a little nervous." Sophie would say, "Yes." She was so busy helping other people that she didn't have time for her own work. Her own work started to get late, and she felt a lot of stress. Her mind was full of worries about her own work, and the work of all the people she was helping. One day, her boss saw that she looked very tired. "Sophie," her boss said, "I see that you are helping everyone, but you are not helping yourself. It's okay to say no." Sophie was afraid to say no, but she decided to try. The next day, a coworker asked her to help with a report. Sophie took a deep breath and said, "I am sorry, but I have a lot of work to do today. I cannot help." The coworker was a little surprised, but he said, "Okay, that's fine." Nothing bad happened. Sophie realized that saying no was not a bad thing. It was a way of saying yes to her own peace. She learned that by setting boundaries, she could stop overthinking about other people's problems and focus on her own life. And now, we have come to the end of our long journey together. We've talked about what overthinking is, why it happens, and we've learned 10 powerful tools to help us manage it. We've heard the stories of Elena, Leo, Maria, Tom, Ben, Anna, Sarah, Michael, David, Jasmine, Kevin, and Sophie. And I hope their stories felt like a friend helping you to understand. I want to give you a final, very important message. Overthinking is not a problem with you. It is a habit of your mind. And like any habit, You have the power to change it. It will not be easy at first. The old habit is strong, and it has been with you for a long time. But you can be stronger. You can start with just one small step today. Maybe you will just try the 5-4-3-2-1 technique for 1 minute. Or maybe you will try to write down one worry on a piece of paper. Or maybe you will just take a deep breath and a quick stretch. You don't have to change everything at once. You just have to start. Remember, overthinking doesn't solve your problems. It just makes you tired. The real solutions are in taking small actions. The real peace is in the present moment. You have the power to live there. You have the power to be happy. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. I hope you found it helpful and that you're feeling a little more confident in your ability to manage your thoughts. Remember, it's okay to have moments of worry or doubt. That's completely normal. The key is knowing how to manage it and not letting it take over your life. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend who might need to hear it. And remember that I'll be here next time, ready to share another useful topic with you. Once again, thank you for tuning in to English in Fluency. I'll catch you in the next episode. Take care. And remember, you've got this.